This month should be worth it just because of the two experiences I had at the theater with Pathan and with DDLJ. I saw both these films, both these iconic films, one the newest, one probably one of the oldest SRK films and the greatest SRK films, DDLJ, and Pathan in the same month on the big screen. And I must admit, Pathan was the greatest cinema experience I've ever had in my entire life. And DDLJ might be the second best. Just because I enjoyed these films so much. Seeing SRK in a new film, in a complete feature length film, after 5 odd years, it was just an amazing feeling. Because 5 years ago, this channel did not exist. But the hype that I had for Pathan, it was just amazing. And I saw the film on 25th. And I saw DDLJ just a couple of days ago after Valentine's week. And I just loved the experience of watching this really old, iconic film on the big screen, seeing how some of the scenes were a bit blurry. You could see, the noise on the screen, some frame cuts. It was just, it was such a raw feeling. Seeing this, highly tech advanced film like Pathan countered with the same guy's iconic film DDLJ. It was amazing. And for that reason alone, this month should be worth it. And it is. But all the films I saw back at home were so up and down that really, I don't know exactly how to feel about it. So what I am going to do is just basically talk about them. So welcome to What I've Watched This Month, February 2023 edition. So this is the second episode in this audio series. And hey, not every video is like this on this channel, if you're thinking, in case you're thinking that. So if you haven't subscribed yet, you should do it. And hey, do you like watching shorts? If you do, then go over to Girly Detective Run, because she does some amazing stuff there. Better than I ever could. Anyways, let's talk about the first film I saw this month. The very first film I saw was The Ninth Gate, starring Johnny Depp, and directed by Roman Polanski. I know. Red alert. But I did not know myself that Roman Polanski had directed this film when I decided to watch it. It had been on my watch list for about 3-4 months now, and I would think about watching this film, but I never would, for some reason. And just like that, for some reason, all of a sudden I wanted to watch this film, and I did, and I quite enjoyed it, to be honest with you. Up until the very end. It was like I was watching a film like Eyes Wide Shut, and then all of a sudden I was watching a parody of Eyes Wide Shut, but nobody told me that I was. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyways, it was not... Yeah, it just became really bad by the end. You have to see it to believe it of how ridiculous the film becomes all of a sudden. Because it's such a slow build-up during the entire film. And the film is about this mysterious book that this guy has to find, which Johnny Depp plays. And he goes all over the world for it. And he's funded by this insane guy who looks insane. And I have to say, his name is, I think, Boris Balkan, the character's name. And the actor who plays him, I'm sorry I can't pronounce his name properly. He does a flawless job. Honestly, one of the scariest performances I've ever seen. Because he just commands this kind of like bizarre, fear out of you. It's just insane. And the film, by the end, just becomes such a parody of itself. And it's just like, what is going on all of a sudden? It's like I'm watching a scary movie, I don't know. It just became really bad by the end. And the ending is so bad. It's honestly one of the worst endings of all time. Because this guy's just... What? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swear that. Anyways. It's just not a very good film. And I think I'm going to start rating films as well from this month. So I'm going to give this film a 7 out of 10. 7 because it's a very good thriller. Up until the very end, and that is where it loses all the 3 points. Which are a lot. Anyway, Fracture is the second film I saw this month starring Sir Anthony Hopkins and Ryan Gosling. I have to say, this is Ryan Gosling's probably worst performance, because he plays such a smug here. He's always suited those Byronic hero kind of roles better, where, this new trope has occurred, literally me. This depressed guy who the whole world is shunning down, and he just somehow has to survive and has this hopeless love for a girl that he knows he's never gonna get. And those are the kind of roles he suits better, as bad as it sounds. I wouldn't want to be playing any kind of those roles as an actor again and again because it's depressing. But he really suits those roles. In Blade Runner, he was amazing. That kind of role. In Drive, which is one of his best films, one of my favorite films of all time, he was amazing in that film. Just the very same kind of role. He just suits those roles. He doesn't suit a smuggish, arrogant, young attorney working for the government. It's like everything anti what he's supposed to play. And Anthony Hopkins does an excellent performance in this film. He's playing this rich guy who finds out his wife is cheating on him, goes home and pulls out his gun and pow. That's it. And then here we have this insane case going on, but most of the film does not take place in the court. It's all around it. And there's just so much fast talk, this, subtle insults. It's this egotistical game between men. It's just a flawless film. I loved it, although I don't remember much of it because it's such a forgettable film as well. But all the scenes that I do remember are the ones starring Anthony Hopkins, or at least with Anthony Hopkins and Ryan Gosling in him. And I just thought it was a pretty good film. I would give it a solid 7 out of 10 as well. Only because it could have been better, but I don't exactly know how. And that's why I'm going to give it that, average, typical rating of 7. The third film I saw this month was The Ghost Rider, also directed by Roman Polanski. I know, but this one was a voluntary decision. There's only a couple of films of Roman Polanski that I haven't seen, and this was one of them. What made me want to watch this film was this one shot of Ewan McGregor on a ship going off to an island. I just loved the color tone, I loved the shot, and I loved the look. And that's what made me want to watch the film. And goddamn, I regret it, because it was a bad movie. It was a movie that really impacted me for the rest of the night and even for a day after. Because I didn't know what was... I don't know, it was just a bizarre film. It left kind of like a dark cloud over. And I had a really bad luck as well for the next couple of days when I saw this film. Maybe that's me just being superstitious. Of course that's me just being superstitious. But it was a bad film. I did not enjoy it at all. I kept thinking it's gonna get better, it's gonna get better. It never did. Pierce Bronson or Pierce Morgan, whatever his name is, he was disappointing in the film as well. The only enjoyable aspect of the film was the woman who played his wife. I thought she was pretty good in her role, and she kind of played, the plot twist. I can say that. And she was pretty good in her role. Ewan McGregor was kind of that, confused, weird guy like he always plays in every single film he ever does. He's always the confused guy. Have you guys noticed that? In Doctor Sleep and Stay, whatever film he does, he's just like, oh, what is going on here? God, what did happen here? What happened? What do you think, Ewan McGregor? A bad film happened here and you're in it. Congratulations. I'm being really rude. Alright, let's move on to the next film. The fourth film I saw this month was Ashiki 2. And this was also the first Bollywood film I saw this month. And that's because I watched very less of Indian cinema this month. And that's only because I was hungover from, Pathaan so much. All the other Bollywood films seemed puny compared to the scale of that film. So I just wasn't interested in watching any Bollywood films or, any Indian films in general this month. Regardless, I saw Ashiki 2 because I realized after all this while, after having seen it, when I was a little kid for the first time, that this film is actually just A Star is Born. The original, A Star is Born, it's been inspired from that. I never knew that as a kid, but once I realized that this time, I actually enjoyed the film somehow even more. Because I just saw how greatly this story has been adapted and how every single song, not one song is disappointing, and that's only because of the greatness of Mithun. I have to say, more than the film, the music of that film is what made that film. That film was just average. It wasn't anything special. It was the music that made it. The music was so influential that everybody else has been trying to replicate that sound for the past decade. Now it's almost been 10 years now, and they've been trying to recreate that sound for a decade now. What Mithun did in 2013. And that guy was honestly, when he just started doing music with Bas Iqbal's album, and I think that was his first album, and he did so amazing music in that, with Tere Bin, with, the title song Bas Iqbal. Then he did The Train, which was amazing. Songs in that, just his songs just have this sound, this like Yakuza-like Japanese, Hong Kong-like sound to it. His music is just universal sounding, and there's just something about his music that just gets to me. And I'm not saying that every album he's done is amazing, but just look at some of the albums he's done. It's like he does one album for every 6th year that becomes the most influential for the next 5 or 6 years. He did, of course, Ashiki 2, then he did Kabir Singh. Of course, Kabir Singh's music is the second most influential because everybody's been trying to replicate that sound as well now for the past 4 or 5 years. And they've been unsuccessful. Even the makers of Kabir Singh will be unsuccessful if they wanted to do it. If Mithun himself wanted to do it, he'd probably not be able to replicate that sound. Sometimes the stars just align, the universe is on his side, and it just so happens. But I'm not discounting Mithun's talent here. To me, currently, he is the best musician composer we've got. And I'm sorry, A.R. Rahman fans, I love A.R. Rahman. To my soul, through my soul, I love him. But right now, in the past decade, what Mithun has done is more influential than what A.R. Rahman has done. And I know that sounds controversial, but the facts speak for themselves. You guys all know it. I know it myself. But A.R. Rahman is, of course, the most influential Indian composer of the past 3 decades. But if we're talking just the last one, that has to be Mithun. Undoubtedly. At least for me he is, because all the music I listen to is either half his or the others who are trying to replicate his sound. And I can live with that. Anyways, that was Ashiki 2 for me. I was just watching that film for the music. And what I was disappointed by in that film this time, the only disappointment I had was that the music was cut a bit weirdly in the film. They kind of like cut out the best parts of the songs and put a little story in there and then forgot to come back to those parts for some reason. But anyways, I enjoyed the film regardless. I would like to do an episode of that film and A Star Is Born that came out in 2018 and compare them both to see, how good or bad they are in comparison to each other. So if you do think that's a good idea, you should note it down in the comments, and I will probably work on it for this upcoming 10th anniversary of the film in, I think, April or something. The next film I saw was Bhoot, which is a Ram Gopal Verma film, and I wanted to watch this because GDR, Girly Detective Run, was really interested in watching a Bollywood or a Hindi or an Indian horror film. And one of the only few good ones that I could remember was this one, and this was quite a multi-starrer film. Nana Patekar, the great Rekha, and of course Urmila Matondkar, Ajay Devgan, Ferdinand Khan. It starred a lot of people in here. And it's just a technically sound film. This film has a very generic story, but some of the shots, some of the way the film has been directed is just amazing. The technique of RGV was amazing back in the day. And I wish to God he would do more horror films and go back to his older ways where he would do these amazing horror films, because I think he did those 2 anthologies as well, and I quite like them. They're quite bizarre, but they work as horror because they're kind of thrillerish because they're so weird. I enjoyed it. After watching it after all these years, I still enjoyed it a lot. Although some of it is pretty funny. Okay, Dhokha Around the Corner. This is a film I have talked about thoroughly in a video I've already done and posted on Kushali Kumar, which is an actor analysis this month. And she was the only one who stood out to me in all of this film. The rest of the film was quite average. I thought it could have been a better thriller, but it was just alright. So I'm not going to give much cadence to this film. Moving on. Katti Patti. This is the last film of Imran Khan. This marked I think 2 films, 3 films I think I'm away from watching every single Imran Khan film. So then I can finally start working on the video that I have to do on him. This big project that I've planned in my head. Because I personally love Imran Khan's acting. I just don't understand why he would do some of the films he did. And I'm going to talk about it in thoroughness. But I think, this marks the last film he did as an actor. And I think now I've got only 3 films left that I've got to cover of his. And once I've done that, then I can start working on that project. I thought this was an alright rom-com that turned in a very bizarre film by the end. I don't know why there's this obsession with some filmmakers to give us plot twists at the end. I don't need a plot twist at the end of a rom-com. I don't need it to turn into a tragedy. I'm here to watch a rom-com, not a tragic film. There's a reason why it's called a rom-com, because it's romance and comedy. It shouldn't have all this tragic drama in it. It was just such an unexpected turn and not one that was convincing. It made the whole film look stupid. All the things every character in the film was doing was stupid. Because the film is about this guy chasing this girl who has left him. And he's also dating other girls, he's sleeping with other girls. And somehow that girl is okay with it? Even though she's, spoiler alert, dying? What? This film is ass. Anyway, Alice in Wonderland. Don't ask me how I ended up watching this film of all the films in the world. I saw it as a kid, I loved it, and I still love it. It's a very trippy, bizarre film, but it's such an intelligent piece of film, man. Such an intelligent piece of writing by Lewis Carroll as well, but a more amazing film because it just speaks to anyone who watches it. That's why it's a classic. I gotta give it to Disney. When they decided to make a animation film based on a famous text for children, they never disappointed. This film is a masterpiece for all the right reasons. Watching it as an adult, I could just see so many themes, so many messages, so much commentary that I never saw as a kid. And watching all that, feeling all that, just made me think, these people are geniuses. This animation is timeless. Anybody can watch it at any age and still find it entertaining. Just amazing experience. Then I watched Shrek, and just as much excited and accepted Alice in Wonderland made me feel, just as dejected Shrek made me feel. I'm sorry to say that. I know everybody loves Shrek. I also love Shrek. But I don't remember nothing from any of the Shrek films as a kid. All I remember is I watched them and I loved some of them and I have no memory of which one do I love the most. But it certainly was not the first one. Because this film has been recently remastered, I think. So I wanted to check out this new Blu-ray version that was, that was all the talk on forums about Blu-ray films and stuff. And they were saying, it's a very good remaster and it looks amazing. It looks good, I have to admit that. But the movie does not hold up for me. The jokes do not hold up for me. I am not a guy for toilet humor. I don't enjoy it. And the film is mostly just that. And it also has a lot of animal cruelty jokes and stuff. It's just... it doesn't work for me. Never did. The first one probably never did. Maybe in the later ones, I enjoyed those ones more. And I like the animation shift in those ones more because they're more fluid. So they feel more animated. Shrek 1 feels more lifelike for some reason. And I don't enjoy it because it's trying to stray away from that completely because it's supposed to be a parody of all these, child stories. But over the years, it's become a parody of itself in a way. It's kind of like the ninth gate but stretched out to 2 decades or something. And not in the film but outside the film. And I know that it's a very famous meme and it's just loved everywhere. I love Shrek as well, but not the first one. Not so much. Then I watched The Gift, starring Kate Blanchett. I'm really sorry, I don't know how to say her name. She is flawless, man. She's a very good actress. I like this film a lot. The Gift, pretty good thriller. The opening, oh my lord, one of the worst jump scares I've ever had was in the opening of this film. Because it opens to this, dark forest in the night, and you're just seeing it, and it's like, yeah, alright. It's supposed to be scary and stuff. And all of a sudden, it's like, bah! Oh my god, I got so scared, I still remember my heart almost jumped out. The story of this film is pretty good, as you could pretty much tell from the title, The Gift. It's supposed to be about a psychic and all the stuff who does readings. And, it's a small town story, and I enjoy small town thrillers. Probably my most favorite genre of watching thriller films. But Keanu Reeves, a Canadian guy playing a southern, like cowboyish wannabe character, and a British woman playing a southern. Uh, the casting is all over the place in this film, honestly. Like, could they not find real people, real actors from that region of America that they had to go all over across the pond to United Kingdom to find a woman who could play, a woman from the southern regions of America, and the same with Mr. Keanu Reeves, who's from Canada. Just didn't make any sense, and they just didn't suit their roles. The casting director of this film should be, put in jail for 5 years for their decisions. Not seriously though, but of course, they should. But the casting is wrong. Katie Holmes is just annoying in this film, infuriating. And there's this guy in the film as well, and he kind of reminds me of like Will Arnett mixed with Bruce Willis, but charisma of none. And it's just, I'm being so rude this time, but I'm talking about his character, guys. This film is just, it goes all over the place. It's a very long film. It's only 2 hours, but it feels longer than it is. Feels like it's 3 hours or something. But at the end, you like the film. I would recommend this film. The film I saw after this was The Mothman Prophecy, starring Richard Gere. Richard Gere, of all people. But yeah, I like this film. I did enjoy it. It's inspired from a true event, apparently, and it's about this Mothman myth I never knew about actually myself. But Girly Detective Run knew a lot about it, and she told me quite a few interesting details. She told me about this bridge that collapsed, and of course that happens in the film. They show that event in the film. Of course, they fictionalized it to a great extent, but the film kept me interested throughout the length. It did stretch out a bit. I feel like it could have been a better film if it was just 1.5 hours. So it went on for quite a while. Not that I could not have patience of 2 hours, but that the film felt like it was stretching out a bit too much. But I enjoyed the film thoroughly, and I would also recommend this film as well to watch if you are into thrillers. Now, talking about the film that I really liked. Now we're talking, by the way, the films are getting better with each entry. Collateral. Time to do my Vince McMahon impression as I talk about Michael Mann. Michael Mann, you son of a bitch! Damn it, pal, I enjoyed this film thoroughly. I have to say, this is the best film I saw this month, and the one after this is the second best. So these would be my top 2 recommendations, by the way. Collateral is amazing. Tom Cruise, man, you rock it every time this guy decides to star in a film. The film is amazing. Has he ever done a bad film? Has this guy ever done a bad film? I don't think so. He's amazing. Los Angeles, one night, serial killer hitman enters, submissive taxi driver falling in love with this girl, and it's just like connecting, and oh my god. Michael Mann, you just rock, man. He's just an amazing director. Who can direct a thriller like Michael Mann? I don't think anybody could. He just has such a nice feeling to his thrillers, to his drama films. It's just amazing. You go and watch Heat. You go and watch Collateral. You go and watch Ford vs. Ferrari, which he produced. Just every film this guy does has something special in it. And I know that not all of his films are great, of course. But his films have this vibe. They have that same vibe that GTA does, and I thoroughly believe that GTA borrows a lot from Michael Mann films. And that is quite evident. I don't know if there's a word proof for it, but there's definitely a great amount of inspiration. And that's why I love it. I just absolutely admire Michael Mann as a director. He can only do a film like he knows, and he does it pretty well. I would hope to God that he directs a sequel to Heat, because I know he's written a book. He's written the sequel to Heat. So I would hope that he would also make a sequel to Heat. And he needs to work with Tom Cruise again. Because Tom Cruise in this film is so cool. There's this really cool shot where he shoots these two guys and just and walks off. Amazing. Jamie Foxx is amazing as well in this film, although not as good as Tom Cruise, but that's probably just me being biased because I can't help but love Tom Cruise because I love Tom Cruise. Top Gun Maverick is the 13th highest grosser film of all time. What's going to be the 12th highest grosser film? Top Gun 3. Only one man can do better impressions of me than myself, and that's Tom Cruise. I love Tom Cruise. I honestly, I will do everything for that guy. I can do anything for Tom Cruise, and that includes becoming Tom Cruise. Anyways, the film that I saw after this was In the Mouth of Madness. This was the last film I saw this month from beginning to end, and perhaps this was the last one that I saw from beginning to end because it was such a bizarre, impactful film that just left such an impression on my mind. I didn't want to watch nothing after it. I just needed to restart completely. This is a film also about a book. So it's bizarre that this month started with a film about a book and ended with a film about a book again. I did not know that this was directed by John Carpenter. And the opening theme just surprised me because it was so good. And of course, the music was by John Carpenter as well, so it had to be amazing. The bizarre thing about this film is the fact that it's supposed to kind of be about Stephen King. What happens if a guy outsells the Bible? Does he become the most influential person in the world then? Maybe it's a possible idea, because Christianity is, I think, the second biggest religion in the world, followed by Islamic religion. And it is quite possible that if somebody outsold the Bible in modern day and time, that they would kind of have this great influence over the world. And unfortunately, Stephen King hasn't reached that number yet. Nobody has, other than Agatha Christie. And let's be honest, her influence was so great that people now enjoy violent films. I mean, I am an example of that for watching a thriller film. She made the world enjoy gruesome crimes. She introduced that to humanity, and she knocked and tapped into something there at such a unique and worldwide level that she sold as many copies as the Bible. I don't know if she's a Nobel laureate or not, though, but she perhaps has more influence than all of them combined. And even the Bible, if she wanted to have greater ideas spoken in her book than just murder. But of course, I'm not complaining about the nuance of Agatha Christie. But this film talks about this very fact. What happens if a guy sells more books than the Bible? Does his influence get over more than the idea of Christ itself? Of, the Bible itself? And, the film tells the story in such a convincing manner that, god damn, I can't point out a plot hole. I can't point out anything wrong in this film, and I'm sure there are, but it's just told in such a convincing manner that I personally cannot. And it has a lot of weird shots as well that kind of creep you out. There's this one recurring scene with this lady at the counter, and she walks in very slowly, and she makes quite a bit of sound while she comes in, and she says, she's got her husband, but we never see her husband, and she runs this little hotel in the small town. And you know me, I love small town thrillers. And then we see her husband, who's kind of chained to her leg. And it's just like, what did I just see? And we see this writer who kind of looks like Neil Gaiman, but is supposed to be playing Stephen King. But then the movie mentions Stephen King not once, not twice, I think thrice maybe? So I don't exactly know what they're trying to do there by kind of creating the image of Stephen King, but then saying that, oh, this guy sold I think his name is Sutter Kane, which is obviously very much on the lines of Stephen King. But he's supposed to have outsold Stephen King as well. And they say it so many times that, oh, a guy who has outsold Stephen King, he must have the greatest influence in the world. Shut up. Don't say that. It ruins the movie. I know what you're doing. The title style, the cover style of Sutter Kane's books, it's all supposed to be like Stephen King. So why mention the guy? You're ruining the movie. Don't get me into reality while you're trying to fictionalize reality by literally mentioning reality so many times while you're trying to fictionalize the very person you're talking about. It's just confusing and unnecessary. I wish John Carpenter wouldn't have done that. But other than that, this whole film is just a masterpiece. I love this film. I could watch it again and again and again, but I know I probably wouldn't want to because of how creepy it is. It's such an amazing film, and it shows the world's destruction without ever showing a scene of the world getting destructed. It takes place entirely in a small town, that's it, and then it goes back into the asylum, that's it. That's it, honestly. And these are the 13 films I saw from beginning to end, and after this I saw 2 other films, Day and White Noise, but I didn't complete them because they were so trashy. Day was not that bad actually, but I don't know, something was off about it, and I felt like I'd seen the actress. Was she in Dead Silence? I don't know. But I was enjoying Day, but then I just couldn't finish it for some reason that day. And then I watched White Noise with Michael Keaton, and oh my lord, it looked like it had such potential in that film. But it was just cut down. The whole film is so bizarre. It goes really silent, and all of a sudden there's like a loud noise or jump scare that just shocks you. Doesn't scare you, but shocks you because you're like, what? So, yeah. But other than that, if I had to recommend this month, I would say watch Collateral, the first. Then watch In the Mouth of Madness. For sure, watch that film. And then I would say watch The Mothman Prophecies. Then I would say watch The Gift. And then you could probably give The Ninth Gate a chance. But yeah, of all the 15 films I saw this month, those are the ones I recommend. I loved all these films. Didn't necessarily enjoy them at the end. Although I would not say the same for Collateral because that film was a masterpiece. I saw it for the first time and I loved it. I don't know how I've never seen it, and I don't know how it's not a bigger film considering it's literally Michael Mann and Tom Cruise. Perhaps people were expecting a bigger project when these 2 people came together, but it was like it almost had the feel of a low-budget thriller, and it just seemed like it was shot on a different camera than most normal thrillers are. But I loved the film regardless, and In the Mouth of Madness was a masterpiece as well. So these 2 films, definitely go ahead and watch them. And yeah, those are all the films that I've watched this month, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. So definitely go watch all these recommendations that I've made. And I hope you're enjoying the content here. This is the only audio series on this channel for right now. So I hope that's not a problem. It's a monthly thing, once in a month, It's alright, I guess. And I hope you're enjoying the rest of the videos alongside these ones. That's a new thing on the channel. And if you like shorter content, then head over to Girly Detective Run. It's right here on the main channel page. You can just click there and go and watch all these amazing, peculiar, trivial shorts she's doing. Honestly, she's one day gonna take over the shorts world because she's so good at it already. I'm telling you guys. So go ahead and watch that if you haven't already. She's doing some amazing work on there. And I'm enjoying doing my work here in MDR. So I hope you guys are liking our content here at Detective Run. If you aren't, please leave some suggestions in the comments. Let me know if you've seen any of these films already. Let me know if you haven't. And if you're gonna, which one you're gonna enjoy. Which one have you enjoyed? Come back and comment as well. I hope you're liking this audio series, and I hope you're loving the channel's content. And I'll keep working hard, keep making it better. For you, and you. Love you all. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. See you next month.